Hey, what's up, everyone? It's the 13th of December, and welcome back to Day Trade with Tony. So, we're all about day trading, particularly we're talking about equity, so stocks and shares on the US stock market in particular. So, we've traded today, we've traded, was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stocks, and we've had a good day. It started off slow. It started off actually pretty poor. We were actually unrealized about $20,000 down at one stage, and that was we traded an ETF, the Direction Daily leveraged S&P 500. We knew today that the inflation numbers were being announced pre-market for the US stock market, and we knew that it was either going to have a good or a bad effect. So I thought, okay, I'll get the leveraged ETF that follows the S&P 500 that reacts to these particular news catalysts, and I'll either take a long or a short position as the numbers come out, and look to ride it up or ride it down, whichever way it went. And it moved up, and we tried to get in. We tried to take a maximum size almost off the back, and the price actually just went without us. We cancelled the order so we could actually then enter another order and get filled, which we did right at the top of the move. So it pulled back. We did average it down, and because we felt that there was bullish news on the inflation data, and it would move back up. It did move back up, but we didn't take profits enough, and we ended up losing 10,000. Let's say as it pulled all the way down, we were approximately 18, 20,000 down at one stage, but we didn't sell. We just held. So we held that position. Risk reward on that particular trade was completely out of the window, but I knew what I was trying to achieve. Should have got out for a small profit, but I was actually looking at we got out, that went up to kind of $77, and we should have got out for a small profit, like a couple of $1,000. Instead, we just held on to it until it pulled back, and we lost $10,000 on that. So we did trade it a little bit later in the day, managed to get a little over $1,000 back, and we traded it again to the short when I realized this ain't going up anymore. This is actually pulling back. So we traded it to the short side and made $2,000. So we traded that one stock, as I say, an ETF. We traded Wave Life Sciences, and that was the last. I think that was the last stock we traded. We actually lost on that one as well, $650. We traded Net Capital. We managed to get $1,300 on Net Capital. This was the first thing that we traded today before the ETF, and that was pre-market that we got this. So you can see it here, and I'll go through those details in a moment. So that was pre-market, and we traded Shuttle Pharmaceutical, and we got just under $1,500 on Shuttle Pharmaceutical. But the big one today for me, and I'm going to, you could have a watch of the replay, recorded the trade, you watch it, trade replay, if you will, is Nuwellis. Now, Nuwellis, or NUWE, moved up quite a substantial amount today. It's just finished, we just finished trading, and it's kind of broke even. So it moved up quite a bit, and then it's pulled all the way back down. So it's lost all its gains. But when it did move up, it moved up from kind of $11 all the way up to $16. So it was a good $5 move. It was over $5. And that was intraday. That was from lunchtime. It took about an hour and a half to move up. And we caught a lot of that move. Now, it was on the back of a double bottom on yesterday's closing price, and then it started to move up. And as it broke the VWAP, that's when we started looking at it for an entry, and we got in and caught probably the second half of that whole $5 move. And we managed to get in total $17,000 across two phases of that move. So that was Nuwellis. Now, $17,000 is a big move. If I could have just got the $17,000 on its own, we would have been in a great position. But because we lost the $10,000 on the Direction Daily ETF, we're only finishing up a little over $11,000, 11,354 today. So we had a big loss yesterday. We lost a little over $20,000 yesterday because I tried to change my strategy. I tried to change in my strategy yesterday. Wasn't trading the best. My dog's been sick. She was in for surgery yesterday, so my head wasn't really concentrating. I wasn't kind of emotionally compromised, is probably the best way of describing it. And I would say if you're chemically compromised, either alcohol or other substances, emotionally compromised, either you're feeling depressed or you're feeling other emotions, strong emotions, they're going to take your attention away from the trading. Or perhaps you're overtired. Don't trade. It's unlikely to go well for you. In fact, more often than not, it will not go well for you. It will go bad for you. So think of trading like you would any other career. If you're a train driver, if you're emotionally or physically compromised in any way, you wouldn't drive a train. If you're a heavy machine operator, there's actually warnings on drug bottles: do not operate heavy machinery while taking this substance. So think of trading in exactly the same way. And if you are not 100%, you can't concentrate, you can't make those decisions logically in your head, then it's not a good idea to trade. So let's take a look at what we actually traded and where we traded it, shall we? So we traded the ETF first, which was the Direction Daily leveraged ETF for the S&P 500. We saw the announcement. Now we've got an indication here, the wick indication here, of which direction it was going to go. But I was a little bit hesitant. Probably should have pulled the trigger on this wick and then held it for a bounce on the VWAP, because what a bounce. But I didn't. As this moved up, I tried to get in at $73 here. So as it broke new highs here, above this wick here, that's where I pulled the trigger and I went in, tried to get filled. It just continued up without me. So I cancelled that order and pressed the buy button again, and I got filled up here. It pulled right the way back. I figured, okay, I could either cut the position, or as it started to make its way back up, oh, we're going to get a move back up again. It didn't. It pulled back down, so I added, kind of averaged down, and then averaged down again. Went in for 90% of my buying power on this last phase. Now it did pull all the way back below $75, and at this stage we're about $18,000-$20,000 unrealized on this particular trade. We did have the $1,300 realized that we'd already traded on NCPL, which I'll come to in a second, and then it started to make its way back up. We got here just over $77. We actually got green as this moved up above $77 just before the open, and I held it into the open. I figured we'd get some volume at the open and continue up and bullish momentum on the way up. I was wrong. So this is where we got out. Just above well, it's actually bang on $76 is where we exited. We exited that for a loss, and we're over $10,000 down on that. Now we did trade a little bit later. I'll come to that in a second. Let me just show you where the first trade I took today was, and it was this trade here. So we got in here as this moved up, and we were able to take this trade. And we got, a good trade, good profit. We added to the top at the top here, and then got out. And then we took another trade here, and we didn't make a lot on this portion, but we managed to make a profitable trade there as well. So we finished on NCPL a little over $1,300 in total across the two or three entries there. But going back to the ETF that we traded here, and you can see that as this pulled all the way back down, we got back in here and managed to get a little bit about $1,000 back on that one. Then we got back in here and gave it back. So we were finishing again where we started off. Now we did trade this a little bit later as well, so we got in and got out there for a little bit of a profit, and then we cut out the remaining piece here as it broke new lows. That was kind of where we finished in terms of going long. We did trade it to the short side, as it broke new lows a little bit later. So we traded it down to the short side here. We covered some of our position there. And then we added to the position again, and then we covered here. So that was to the short side. We re-entered long there, and we exited there. So that's what we did with this particular ETF. Now, we did trade Novelis. So Novelis, this is pretty much where we got out of the ETF there. Just after lunchtime, market time, we got in here, and then we rode this up, took a little bit of profit, and then the rest off up here as it started to pull back. We actually got stopped out on that because we put a stop in place. You'll be able to watch these trades. This one's recorded. You'll be able to watch these trades in just a second. We re-entered as we broke new highs, taking some more profits. It pulled back, and then as we got more, we got back in here for the break of. And I was calling this out on the Discord as well, by the way. What I was seeing and the patterns. So we got this pullback, and then as we got new highs, this candle makes new highs. We got in for the entry there. It did move all the way back up, but we didn't quite catch that. And then we added to the position as it moved up, and we took some profits up at the top there, and that was essentially, this was the trade that we got $17,000 on, was for that big move. So this moved up. I want to zoom out a little bit here so you'll be able to see what I saw. So this here, you can see a beautiful double bottom on this line here before the move up. Now, I wasn't trading at this stage. As it broke the VWAP, that's when I became aware of it. Got this little pump here, and I was watching it above the VWAP. It retested the VWAP a couple of times. So I'm seeing this double bottom, but it's not quite what I would consider broke out yet. We've got the measuring stick with a double bottom, the same as you do with a head and shoulders or inverse head and shoulders. So it's not quite broke out. So as it breaks the VWAP, I'm looking for this continued move up. Maybe get 50 cents, maybe get 75 cents. So as this moved up, and this is where we got in here and was able to ride that up. It did pull back, but then continued on up. So from this level here, 1125, it went all the way up to, the high was 1653. So from 1125 to 1653, that's $5.28. It's a big move across the course of a little over 2 hours. Well, less than 2 hours, about an hour and a half. So big move, and we caught a huge portion of that. So my first entry was a little over $13, and we got out up here at 1650. So we managed to catch $3 of that move. So that was what. And it only takes one stock. That's the whole point. It takes one stock to get you. If you're patient enough to wait for it, more often than not, you're going to get one stock moving and moving well. And if you can wait for the setups, and that double bottom setup was a glorious setup. I could have got in earlier if I'd actually spotted the setup earlier, but I didn't. And I probably could have got a $4 move instead of a $3 move, but I'm not going to be greedy. $3 is more than sufficient for what I needed today. I needed to have a good green day. Where does it put us on the month? Where does that put us on the year? Let's have a look at the statistics right now. So this is December, and I've got the year showing. So you can see right now we had a big loss yesterday. We had a big loss last Tuesday. But we made up for the big loss last Tuesday with a big win on Thursday. We've had some decent wins. We had a second, which was the Friday. We had a good green day then, and then some good green days over goal. And then we've had two big losses already. So we're not quite over the drawdown. We've still got another 12K to do to get over the drawdown. We've got, what have we got? Let's have a look at what we've got in terms of what we have to do for the year. So currently 1.18, so 1.183, so we're $17,000 away from the secondary goal, which is $100,000 per month. The primary goal is a seven-figure net year. Now, it's going to take a really good final 3 days of this week in order to achieve that. I'm kind of losing a little bit of faith and a little bit of hope to do that before the end of this week. I may have to trade Monday, Tuesday next week. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But I may have to trade Monday, Tuesday next week. And if necessary, I may even have to trade while I'm on vacation, just to get that net number. But right now, because I'm about $50,000 down at the moment, I'm not $50,000, am I? $40,000 down, just over $40,000 down net. So it's going to take a couple of really good days in order to hit the seven-figure net before the end of the week. Realistically, if I say I can trade on the Monday and Tuesday next week before flying out on Wednesday morning, gives me 5 trading days. So 5 trading days, $10,000 a day means I'm going to have to swing big. Exciting, I know. Come join me. You can watch me taking these big swings. That's what I've been doing these last couple of days. The problem with taking big swings, if it goes against you, it puts you in a big hole to recover from. But I'm taking big swings. I've had a really good year. $1 million year is a good year by anyone's stretch of the imagination. So I've had $1 million year gross. I'm looking for that $1 million year net, and I'm going to have to take some big swings for the rest of this week and the rest of this month if I'm going to achieve it. So look, trading is risky, and you don't trade if you can't afford to lose the money. So the money I've put into the markets, I've more than made that back. So trading is risky, and if you're risk averse, it really isn't a career for you. So you have to be prepared to take risks, and sometimes you take irrational risks, which is what I've done this last couple of days. The whole point of being a profitable trader is you take calculated risks, not irrational ones. So changing your strategy up when it doesn't need to be because you're thinking you might get bigger gains, or trying a different approach, like I did today with the news of the CPI data dropping and trying to ride that volatility, probably not a great idea. May even try something different during the FOMC conference tomorrow and see what I can get out of that. So if they raise the interest rates a little bit higher, so we've got a big day tomorrow, little interest rates, if they raise them higher than expected, we'll get a sell-off. We might do some shorting. Or if they raise them what's expected, 50 base points, then we'll probably get another rally tomorrow. And that potentially could be why we didn't get such a big rally today. And quite frankly, the markets actually retraced pretty much a lot of the gains that they made. They retraced the majority of it back. So went up about 3 percentage points and pulled back a little over 2. So that's the markets. And tomorrow we'll probably have a similar kind of movement. Don't know which way yet, depending on which way the Fed decides the interest rates have to go. So let's see what happens tomorrow. Come join me 90 minutes before the market opens, 8 a.m. And the Fed doesn't it doesn't actually meet, and the conference isn't until actually 2:30 p.m. I think it's 2 p.m. that the conference starts, but 2:30 p.m. is when the numbers drop. So, join me. I probably will be streaming for the FOMC conference as well. So join me for that. And I was falling asleep when Powell started speaking. He is kind of the human equivalent of Xanax. He's extremely boring. I think the last senior figurehead I remember was John Major back in the 90s. It's like Mr. Bean. A grey version of Mr. Bean was John Major, but Powell is like the US version of Mr. Bean. He's so dull. It's unbelievable. But anyway, that's me going off on a sidetrack about my opinion, personal opinion of somebody. So join me tomorrow, 90 minutes before the market opens, 8 a.m. We'll be trading the last hour of the pre-market, the first hour of the regular session, and then we'll be back a little bit later in the day for the interest rate announcements and the FOMC press conference. And come join me for that. I'll be happy to have you, and you'll be welcome to contribute in the chat. That's 90 minutes before the market opens, 8 a.m. East Coast, 1 p.m. here in Ireland, or 1 p.m. in the UK. I'm going to leave you with the recording of the Novelis trade that I took, and I hope to see you tomorrow. In the meantime, have a good evening and take care. What kind of spread is that? Nice. Still going higher. There we go. Phil. Terrible, Phil.